United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the May 26, 2026 regular meeting of the Jackson Township Council. Pursuant to the provision of the New Jersey's Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting was properly provided by transmitting the notice of the meeting on January 9th for publication. Notice of this meeting in the Township Council is posted in the corridor of the municipal building, on the Township website, and in the office of the municipal clerk. We'll begin with a roll call. Councilman Borelli?
Here.
Councilman Bressi?
Here.
Councilman Pollock?
Here.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Present.
Council President Bernstein?
Here.
Also attending this evening is Mayor Kuhn, Attorney McGuckin, Administrator Tarafanko, Veronica Dagner, and myself, Sandra Martin. The next item on the agenda is the Certificate of Achievement portion. Council President Bernstein.
Mayor Kuhn.
Thank you, Council President. There are 3 students here from our graduating 2026 class that are going to receive. One is receiving a mayor's scholarship and 2 superintendents. Just wanted to say congratulations to all 3 of the recipients honored by the Ocean County Mayor's Association and the 2 recipients congratulated by the Superintendent Roundtable. Your hard work and dedication, commitment to our community and schools do not go unnoticed. We are proud of your accomplishments and grateful for your positive impact continue to make. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. If you'd like to come up, all 3 of you. So we have Peyton Brown is Superintendent's Roundtable. We have Colin Williams, Superintendent's Roundtable. And then Madison Rathen, Ocean County Mayor's Association.
Stand here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Peyton? Make sure I got it right. Make sure it says. Nope. Colin and Peyton, congratulations. If the family would like to.
If anyone from the family wants to come up for a photo, if anyone's here, family, friends. Council will stand. We'll stand up here. And council will stand behind up here.
Whichever one you want.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Congratulations.
We now hear opening comments from the Township Council, starting with Council President Bernstein.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and congratulations again to our students. Lots of luck in your future endeavors. I want to take a moment and read a memo. There's been a lot of conversation and questions asked pertaining to data centers, and I received an email today from Mr. Tremor, who is our chairman of our Environmental Commission, and there was some back and forth. I had the opportunity in speaking to him for about 15 minutes this afternoon after he sent the email. And it's something that multiple members of the governing body have been looking into for the past couple of months. The mayor called upon it in April, and I've been in communication with Attorney McGuckin together with Mr. Peters from RVE. So I just want to read a memo that I received from our legal counsel, and I received permission from the mayor to read it to the public. Council President, please accept this memorandum regarding the issue of whether data centers are a prohibited or permitted use in Jackson Township currently. For the reasons which follow, such facilities are already not permitted uses in Jackson Township. Initially, Jackson Township Code 244-6 provides a definition of uses which are prohibited in the municipality. Under this provision, a use of any land, building, structure, or portion thereof that is not a permitted use is a prohibited use. This ordinance provision follows a clearly established case law that uses non-specifically permitted or that established case law that uses that are not specifically permitted are deemed prohibited. Data centers are not listed as a permitted use in any zoning district in the township and are therefore prohibited anywhere in the township. Anyone seeking to establish such a facility, as with any other non-permitted or prohibited use, would have to apply for a use variance before the Township Zoning Board and would need at least 5 affirmative votes, just as with any other non-permitted use being applied for. Adopting an ordinance prohibiting data centers when they are already not permitted would not change the fact that an applicant would have the right to apply to the Zoning Board for a use variance to allow for prohibited use, just as it currently can do. I am aware that other towns, in response to residents' concerns, have adopted ordinances prohibiting data centers. In each of these towns, once adopted, such an ordinance cannot prevent a use variance application from being applied for. I am unaware if those towns have the same definitions of a prohibited use as Jackson does. However, if adopted here, such an ordinance accomplishes nothing more than what is currently the law in Jackson Township. Data centers are not permitted, and anyone seeking to develop one would have to apply for a use variance to the Zoning Board. The township has the right to do so if it chooses. However, adopting such an ordinance has no other legal effect than prohibiting what is already prohibited. If council would like me to prepare such an ordinance, please kindly advise at your convenience. So I'm reading this. I want this to be a conversation among my colleagues over the next couple of weeks. I do have a draft ordinance from our engineer that he did work on, and it just, and I think it's food for thought for the council and from our residents. We'd love to get some feedback from A, the Environmental Commission, and B, from the rest of the residents. This does, Mr. Peters did point out to me, this reminds him a little bit of 2015 when the town did not have a definition of dormitories, and dormitories were not permitted in Jackson, and they went ahead and banned dormitories, and that opened up, as we're all quite aware, a whole can of worms. So just to clarify again, the legal position of the township's legal attorney is that currently data centers are not permitted in Jackson Township. And I think that's important because a lot of misinformation and rumors flying around. And I don't think there's anyone currently on the dais, or probably anyone here in the room, who supports data centers in Jackson. And I don't think there's anyone on this dais who's looking to make it any easier for anyone to build a data center here in Jackson. So thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Council Vice President Palmieri.
Thank you, Clerk. I just wanted to thank the organizers of yesterday's Jackson Memorial Day Parade. I want to thank all the volunteers and the residents who came out and supported the event, even with some of the inclement weather. It was a very meaningful event. For those here tonight, welcome. And for those watching from home, thank you for staying engaged. And just to piggyback on Council President with the data centers, if our legal team thinks that we should do something else or something further, then I am all ears for it. I'm willing to listen to it and see what we could do. But I think it is across the board. Nobody wants data centers. So whatever we could do legally to make sure that that doesn't happen here, I would completely support. Thank you.
Councilman Borelli.
Thank you, Clerk Martin. Thank you to Council President Bernstein for bringing up that issue. I know it's a big concern with a lot of residents and towns out of our state, and it's something we definitely have to do our due diligence on and work with legal regarding addressing it for our town and for the folks who live here in our town too, particularly when it comes to hearing that electricity costs can skyrocket as a result of these data centers, and that is something we definitely don't want to happen here in our own town. As we know, inflation is still pretty high. So since the last council meeting, Councilman Pollock and we met with finance officials. So I see Mrs. Larison here in the audience. Thank you for being here. And we also met with Business Administrator Tara Fenko to do our due diligence and see for ourselves what the budget outlook was, and if additional savings could be made for this year's municipal budget, including from having to go over the budget cap ordinance we voted on, and which is being reintroduced tonight. Councilman Pollock and we did have some substantive questions regarding the municipal budget, which we presented to our township budget officials and Business Administrator Tara Finko at our recent meeting with them. The meeting we had with budget officials and Mr. Tara Finko was very productive, but unfortunately the news Councilman Pollock and I Receipt was not really good. The budget is very dire. It's very tight for this year. I know a lot of other towns are going through the similar situation. Even after our town made cuts in every department. And I thank them for doing that. And I asked if savings can be realized by reducing the current budget cap or appropriations, and they recommended it's unfortunately not possible at this time. So let me say that increasing services is great, like having recycling every week, but it's like costing us an extra $454,000 plus in the budget. That's just one example. Because of the financial situation with their budget, that it's so dire and so tight this year, and we're looking at the possibility of budget deficits in the coming years, our town's finance team recommended a hiring and spending freeze, which would not affect contractual township employees, of course, or the cost of health benefits, which have gone up significantly. Not issues that we want to hear about or address, but we have to as a town governing here. And they also recommended no more discretionary spending unless it's absolutely necessary. And I would support these measures to rein in any unnecessary municipal spending. And I hope my other council colleagues would join me in supporting these measures, and the mayor administration will as well, because it's ultimately up to the mayor administration under the Faulkner form of government we have here in Jackson, which is similar to so many other hundreds of towns in our state, to rein in that unnecessary spending by all township offices and departments before the bills come to us on the council to vote on. We can't spend beyond our means. I would suggest any major purchase should be sent to our township business administrator and administration before being spent on. The very dire situation our budget officials painted for Councilman Pollock and I call for these drastic measures, I feel, and suggestions for our town's fiscal integrity going forward, most of all for the residents we were elected to represent. I strongly urge the mayor and administration to implement these measures in order to get Jackson back on the right financial track. Because of the budget situation moving forward looks very bleak, some tough contract negotiations in the future will have to occur. That will be the mayor administration's responsibility to handle. So a hiring freeze, didn't like to hear it, don't like to say it, but it seems like we're going to have to possibly implement that. Spending freeze, discretionary spending freeze, unless absolutely necessary. I would recommend and suggest no backfilling of a position of an employee who retires unless absolutely necessary, and a critical justification has to be provided. Reining in of overtime spending, which I know Business Administrator Tarafinko is in discussions with various departments regarding that issue, and also reining in of political appointments. And maybe holding off on projects that won't impact the health and safety of residents, of course. There are some of my suggestions for the municipal budget, including recommendations that I'm not only making, but our budget officials are recommending. And I know the mayor and the council, we've been supportive of attaining grants, which help save money regarding doing township business. Let's continue doing that. And in addition, for the future, the hiring of multiple vendors instead of just one for services like lawn maintenance or snow removal, I think will go a long way in helping save costs to the township and create more competition to have a better outcome for Jackson residents. Have a good evening. Thanks.
Councilman Bressi?
Thank you. First, I know the recipients for the awards, the 3 high school grads left the room, but it's great to see our youth applying themselves 100% to establish getting those awards. I also want to say thank you to the PBA and the police department who put that parade together and the service for the Memorial Day. Even with the rain, they kept it going. They didn't back up, and they did a good job with it, and I truly appreciate it. And I really hope that everybody had a couple of moments in the day, no matter where you are, to reflect and remembrance what the day is about for those that gave the supreme sacrifice. As far as the data center, if you're in land use long enough, you know that if it's not a permitted use, it's not permitted. Sometimes when you get fancy and start writing ordinances to stop that specific things, it gets very muddy and messes it up. Simple in land use law, if it's not permitted, it's not noticed, it's not permitted, it's silent. It's not permitted. And I think we have to stick to that. And I, for one, would not support a data center. Thank you. Have a great evening and a safe trip home.
Councilman Pollock?
Good evening. I always have a lot to say. Since we're talking about the data centers, it's great that everybody agrees we don't want them here. What to do about them, I guess, is truly the issue. It's something I've been working on for a bit now. There's been some conversations back and forth. You know, most places don't have data center defined, and they're still building data centers. So what do we do about it? I'm not sure. I am working on something, but I think they need to be prohibited. I don't think doing what other towns have done, essentially nothing, and then data centers getting built, and then the residents being extremely unhappy and upset about it and changing their lives is going to happen. Now, I don't think Jackson's a great place for it. I'm assuming nobody's looking for it. I don't think we have the land. We have a difficult ecosystem to build on, but I feel like we need to do something. But that's me, and I have some stuff. We'll go back and forth. I'll send in the council president. The attorneys can look at it, and we'll see what happens. But I'd like to make sure this doesn't happen, and I hope we can figure it out together. Now, I get in everything that goes on. I don't hide nothing. I talk straight. There's been a lot of talk online regarding politics in town. And I was banned off Facebook after speaking out against our leadership here. I don't follow everything, but I try to keep up on what's going on. Now, there's a Facebook page that makes fun of some of our elected officials. Let me say, I disagree with what they're doing. You know, myself and no one I work with is involved with it. Now, when I have something to say, I do it right here to people's faces, just like I'm doing right now. And I don't care to get in people's personal lives because there's so many substantive things to talk about and to confront here. I believe it takes away from the seriousness of what has gone on and what continues to go on in our town. And our elected officials are posting about it and getting in the comments on Facebook. I think that's below who we are and what we're supposed to be. You know, and it's very funny because they're outraged about a political climate that they themselves have actually created. The pearl clutching from our leaders is almost comical after what they did to me last election. And I won't let you live this down because you did it. They paid a news source with tax money to try and destroy my character and ruin my life. They broke election law to defame me and try to keep me out of this seat. And now you're upset about somebody who makes funny AI things about you. And don't tell me it wasn't you, because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Jackson, New Jersey government is watched by a lot of people, and that's not because things are going well. And it's not just Jackson, it's the whole county, to be honest. You got a county commissioner deeply tied to our elected leaders, coming here to swear them in and gloat about overdeveloping our town and tripling our population. You got the head of the county GOP who had to get pardoned by the president. You got leaders from Lakewood who are connected to the president and prominent politicians bragging about toppling our government, and he donated lots of money to some of our elected officials. The influence of money and special interests has dominated this town and our politics. I wish I could say this is just a local issue, but we know this happens everywhere, maybe not to this extent. And some of these things are out of our control that have been happening, but a lot has deliberately been done to the detriment of the people who live here. And what's gone on is pretty deep and dark when you get into it. Where things are going isn't good, and I won't play pretend. I'm not going to say, rah, rah, everything's great, because it's not. And everybody who lives in town knows it. No one really knows how I feel every day, to be honest. I'm always worried. I'm always concerned. There's always some kind of weight on my shoulders because I feel like I have to do well for the people I represent. I don't say these things because it's easy. I don't want to get up here and have to make speeches and go against powerful people with connections. I don't want to have to go against these politicians. I'd rather be going out playing with my kid right now than doing this. But I didn't get involved in this to make friends, to have a good time, or be part of some political system. I got involved because I believe the people who live here deserve someone willing to speak up when others won't. Looking forward to voting tonight.
The next item on the agenda is comments by Mayor Kim.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. So Memorial Day Parade, just want to thank everybody that helped put that together and keep it going, even though there was a bit of a rain. We were one of the few towns that continued. So I just want to thank, as the councilman had said, thank you to the Veterans Commission and our Jackson Police Department for keeping that going. It's a day of remembrance, and we need to remember that. That's what that day is about. Data centers, I think we're all on the same page. I think everything that's been said, administration stands behind. Also, I just wanted to, I had the opportunity to attend a new business at the Jackson Premier Outlets Old Navy. I wish them nothing but the continued success, especially after I understand that they did a very, very strong Memorial Day. So we love to see that new businesses coming into town and keep it growing. We also had a very successful litter-free cleanup around town, and we're continuing to keep that going. I'd be remiss if I did not also take a moment to thank Six Flags Great Adventure for their partnership and generosity in supporting the litter-free initiative, also including contributions that benefit our Commission of Disability and Handicap, as well as our seniors. They've given well over 100 tickets to both organizations. That's going to allow them to go and have a great day out and make memories that they'll never forget. So we always love to see that. This is something that we get into the business for and we get into these relationships for. So I just want to thank them again. Have a good night.
Administrator Tarafanko?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things. I just wanted to remind all the landlords that we did, in fact, advertise the landlord registration on 1/6, 1/30, 2/4, 3/16, and 3/26. And out of the 1,900 plus rentals we have, we had about 85% that are compliant, and they registered within a allotted time frame. 457 or so were out of compliance, and they're being dealt with now at the Housing Bureau. To date, we've done about 155 inspections, and that's continuing on a daily basis. And I also wanted to just highlight the fact that we are working with our private communities and the HOAs for snow and salt reimbursements along with street lighting. Thank you.
The next item for tonight's agenda is the update from the Department of Public Works. Council President Bernstein?
So thank you. Before I just wanted to add 2 more comments because obviously I think we all heard from, everyone about data centers. And I guess my commitment to my colleagues here on council is that anyone who sends any suggestion or any idea with regard to data centers will be sent to the mayor and to our attorney for review because I understand the fear, I understand the concerns. Like I said, we have a legal opinion from our attorney, but if there's any loophole or anything that we feel that we could tighten up, I think it's something that unanimously you would see that support for. Now, with regard to the rental for a second, Business Administrator Tarafanko, I just want to address that for a second because I think myself and my office have probably received about 100 phone calls from people who got this, who did not register with the housing department and got the violation, and were asking for a one-time exception. The township was very patient. We advertised it as the business administrator multiple times. Right before the council meeting, the business administrator pulled up just a list of when all the notices went out. Besides for obviously the legal notices, the email blast that went to all landlords who are registered in Jackson. It was also in the Asbury Park Press. It was also on the Lakewood Scoop. It was also on Jackson Times. It was literally everywhere you can possibly imagine the fact that we were doing this. There were residents who came with questions to council meetings and brought up legitimate concerns and questions. So kudos to the 85 or 87% of landlords who actually complied with Jackson's ordinances. Anyone who else who didn't, I know that they've been mailing out those violations, and that's why there's been uptick in phone calls and uptick in visits in town hall. No one from the governing body, I want to put this out there for the record, has the legal authority to waive those fines. And at this point, if someone got that, they can let the process play out and go to the municipal court and have that argument with our municipal judge. But this was a priority, I think, of everyone on council and the mayor. Obviously, there's some differences in exactly how to get to the result, but it was a priority of having this rental bureau. So I want to thank them and look forward to seeing more results from that department. Now, moving forward to Public Works. I hope everyone had a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is more than just a holiday. It's a solemn reminder of the sacrifices made by the brave men and women who gave their lives for our freedom. We thank our heroes and their families, and their sacrifices will never be forgotten. Zone 6 bulk pickup has been completed. A Zone 5 brush pickup will be finished shortly. Beginning June 1st, a new round of collections will begin with the bulk pickup in Zone 7 and brush pickup in Zone 6. Please remember that while residents are encouraged to place items at the curb by the evening before their scheduled collection, placing them items out far in advance is a code violation. And I just want to reiterate that. We've gotten multiple complaints of people after their bulk pickup, people putting them back out on the streets, and we've gotten multiple emails. Those emails have been forwarded to code enforcement, and I think code enforcement was following the process of issuing NOVs and etc. Our parks have been cleaned and freshly mulched, and the spray park will now be open on weekends until the summer season officially begins. The Clean Community Litter Free Cleanup held on Sunday, May 17th was a tremendous success with 166 participants volunteering throughout the community. The next cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, June 27th. Anyone interested in participating is encouraged to email litterfree@jacksontownship.net. And I also want to just add, we got an email today from our Clean Communities Coordinator, Ms. Dressler. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they collected 77 bags of garbage, and this is besides for the group that went out a couple weeks before that. So there's a lot of garbage out there, and we don't need an official cleanup or a ticket from Six Flags. If you see garbage, please clean it up. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the second reading and adoption of ordinance 2026-10, supplementing Chapter 244, Article 12, entitled Design Standards and Improvement Specifications to include Section 209.2, which establishes the stormwater management requirement for non-major developments. At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to speak and may only speak once. May I have a motion to open public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hi, Holly Reynolds, Jackson. I'm all for this ordinance. I just have one question about the variances in letter J, where it states a variance from strict compliance with the requirements of the section may be granted by reviewing board for those projects where an applicant has demonstrated the inability or impracticability of strict compliance with the stormwater management requirements in the section. In those cases where a non-major development does not require approval of the planning board or zoning board, but a building permit is required, any party aggrieved by any decision of the township engineer acting under this section as part of the building permit process shall have the right to petition the mayor and council to review the township engineer's decision. If the mayor and council decide that due to the peculiar or unique circumstances of the matter, strict compliance is not practical or would create an undue hardship, then the mayor and council may, on such terms and conditions as they deem appropriate, waive any requirements set forth by the township engineer. Now, I don't think that, I'm not to be, say something against you, but where do you have the credentials to override a township engineer? If they say, no, that this would not work, that you should be able to override that.
Sure. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, fine. So, Mr. McGuckin, it was my understanding and reading the subsection that, and like I said, I think this ordinance is historic, and I understand the concern. This would be just the process would be that if a resident or a developer or homeowner, whatever it is, wants to petition the governing body, it would have to have a public hearing publicly here in order to get that waiver, that variance. Is that, I just want to make sure I understand the process first before we talk about the why. Subsection J.
It would have to be a public meeting of the governing body, and there would be a hearing.
All right, so I guess the question, and I hear the concern, like if the township engineer deemed that you need it, why would anyone up here be overriding the engineer? And honestly, I think it's a great question, and I'm not sure if legally there was a reason why they had to be put in, but the purpose of this was there shouldn't be exceptions, obviously.
I
Attorney?
believe that this portion of the ordinance was not amended. We amended the other portion of it.
Yeah.
This was the language that was already in the, I'm sorry. This language, I believe, was already in the ordinance, not the portion that was amended to apply this to smaller developments.
All right, so I would just say from my end, I think this ordinance has come through a lot. I would commit, and I'm open to having a further conversation with my colleagues about amending this at a further point. I don't know if we could amend it on the spot here, but I would want to speak to Mr. Cunliffe, who was heavily involved. I think he first brought this up to me and the mayor when she was the council president last summer in the clerk's office. I'm not comfortable speaking for him because he was heavily involved in drafting this, if what his reasoning for it was, but he reviewed it, and I don't want to speak for him, but I definitely understand your concerns.
Yeah, I just think that, I'm all for the stormwater management. It's what I do every day as my job. But if an engineer actually says to you that this is not able to work out, I think that should be the end all be all, because the engineer would know more than anybody sitting up here, that would be.
I agree, but I don't want to speak for the engineer. And Mayor, do you have anything you want to add?
My apologies. He was actually supposed to be here tonight, but he is at another meeting and he couldn't get out. But we will meet with him, and I'm sure I 210% agree with you. So I get what you're saying.
So council, I would be okay tabling this. I hear Ms. Reynolds, and then, and having that conversation with the engineer tomorrow. I will speak to him, and then if he has a reason why he felt that was important, and the governing body agrees, we'll leave that in. If not, we'll make that amendment and reintroduce. So anyone else from the public before we close? Council, does anyone want to make a motion to table this ordinance?
Motion to
I'll
table
second it. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Ordinance 2026-10.
Can we?
1 second,
the
hold on.
motion include a specific date of when it's tabled to, your next meeting?
Yes.
I would table to the next meeting, yeah,
Table to the next meeting.
which is June 9th. Do we have a motion and a second to table it until June 9th?
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes for tabling.
Councilman Bressi? Councilman Pollock?
Yes, the table.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that forward.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes, and I really just want to take a moment, obviously, to thank Ms. Reynolds, but I also want to thank Mr. Cunliffe. This has been like, he's been following up with me because our agendas have been so busy recently. Morty, when's this going for second reading? So he will be one of my first phone calls tomorrow morning to follow up. And if he has a legal reasoning, I'll reach out to Ms. Reynolds and to the governing body why he felt that was necessary. So yes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the second reading and adoption of ordinance 2026-20, amending Chapter 244-12 of the Township Code with respect to the development application fees. At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to speak and may only speak once. May I have a motion over public comment?
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Could I have a motion?
Seeing no one come forward, I motion to close.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-20?
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi? Yes. Councilman Pollock?
Yes, I'm very happy that this is on the agenda. I was happy to work together with the council president on this. This is something that needed to be done, long overdue. Development fees do need to be raised, and I'm looking forward to finding more ways to do it because developers are making a lot of money on this town, changing this town. The people are not happy with it. There's no reason they shouldn't be paying what they have to. And I'm glad we're likely going to be passing this tonight. Thank you.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes, and also it was a pleasure working with my colleague and the mayor's office to get this done, so I vote yes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the first reading and introduction of ordinance 2026-19, confirming the vacation of a portion of certain rights of ways and paper streets. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
Sure. This ordinance is being introduced at the request of the Jackson Township Board of Education to confirm what the township agreed to when it vacated certain paper streets back in back in the 1970s for the benefit of the school district.
May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-19 on first reading and introduction and to authorize the notice of the public hearing?
Motion?
Moved.
Second?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
Yes.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the first reading and introduction of ordinance 2026-21, amending Chapter 103-45, prohibiting parking along the entirety of Woodland Road. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
Yes, so I have some lengthy comments. I just want to read them. I got permission from the person who posted it on social media. I just felt it was important to read, and I just want to put it out there that I don't agree with everything on this post, but I thought it was important for everyone to understand the background. So I received multiple phone calls early in the morning. I know the mayor also does, with various safety concerns of various developments going on in town, which obviously are affecting the traffic patterns in the neighborhoods. So I'm just going to read this. I'm going to read it quickly. I'm going to skip around a little bit, just otherwise we'll be here all night. Good morning, my Brookwood 4 neighbors. I'm reaching out today to ask for your support and also to make everyone aware of something that I have been passionately fighting for close to a decade. As most of you know, 146 South New Prospect is finally in the construction phase after receiving site plan approval. And exactly what many of us knew would happen is already happening. Overflow parking has started spilling onto Wood Lane Road. On multiple mornings, I completely lost everything and called the police department, the mayor, and the council president asking what was going to be done because the situation on Wood Lane was becoming unsafe and out of control near the light and entrance to Brookwood 4. Every single time, the answer from the Jackson PD was the same. There's nothing we can do because there is no ordinance or law saying that we can't park there. It is honestly frustrating to once again be told there's nothing that can be done while residents are the ones left dealing with the consequences. So I've attached a video, etc. While many people may know that may not know is that during the planning board meeting for the 146 South New Prospect project, I specifically raised concerns about overflow parking and requested that Wood Lane Road become a no parking street if this became an issue. At that time, it was acknowledged by the planning board that this will likely become necessary. However, the planning board does not have the authority to create or enforce a no parking ordinance as part of a site plan approval. Only the town council can formally adopt this type of ordinance. That is why we are now working through the council process to finally address it properly. And then I'm just going to read another paragraph and skip to the end. It started almost a decade ago with 40 cars. In fact, there has been multiple accidents, and Wood Lane Road cannot become the overflow parking lot for this use. So behind the scenes, I've been working continuously with Council President Bernstein to address ongoing parking and traffic issues on Wood Lane Road. Through these conversations and efforts, the no parking ordinance has now officially been placed on the council agenda for consideration. Thankfully, this is a small example of what could happen when people are willing to communicate, find common ground, and work towards a solution that protects the quality of life and safety of the residents of Brookwood 4. And honestly, anyone who actually lives in Brookwood 4 knows the truth. Most residents do not park on Wood Lane Road anyways. There is no room to safely park here, nor should there be. Residents use their driveways, side streets, and their own property when they have parties and gatherings. Wood Lane Road was never intended to function as a parking lot. Now, I want to make something very clear because I know people are going to try twisting this into something that's not. The support for no parking on Wood Lane Road is not the same thing as supporting some ridiculous band-aids of no parking ordinances that they throw up to enforce our zoning laws, and etc. So I just want to elaborate over here. This ordinance came from multiple residents in the Brookwood 4 neighborhood reaching out. We did, our administration and our police department have sent out our traffic safety multiple times there, and the report that has come back is that everyone that was parking was within their legal right to park there. So after we received this request, obviously our attorney drew this up, and that's just the background on this ordinance. Sorry for being so lengthy. I'm done.
May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-21 on first reading introduction and to authorize the notice of the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Brawley?
This has become a public safety concern, and this is a solution. So I'm glad to see it on the agenda tonight. Yes.
Councilman Brassey?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
I knew this area a little bit, but I wanted to make sure and drive through it and see it for myself before I actually have to vote on something. The street is very small, and with increased traffic, I can clearly understand why this is needed. But I'd also like to address a larger issue because this is not quite a unique situation anymore in this town. We continue to see more non-residential uses in or around residential neighborhoods. In many cases, it changes the character of the neighborhood, increases traffic, and creates challenges to all the residents who live there. We've been through a horrible lawsuit because of the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, or RLUPA. It's become a major factor in these discussions. Many communities across the country have struggled with balancing local zoning authority and the requirements imposed by federal law. And now some politicians are directly tied to what happened to this town. I'd like to know where our higher elected officials are on this. Why is no one advocating for reform? Why is no one fighting to restore local control and give communities a meaningful voice in shaping their own neighborhoods? It's not happening. They're all afraid. They won't speak out. They won't try to change anything. The people who live here deserve representation, not silence from their elected officials. They deserve leaders willing to challenge bad policy that's affecting the people they represent. You should be defending local communities and fighting for the right of residents to have a say in the future of their own town. I'm voting yes because it is a good safety measure.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
So I had said this before. I actually voted against a similar ordinance in another location, but I did speak to the resident who proposed this, and that resident sent me several videos, and it was a very narrow road, as Councilman Pollack referred to. I actually seen a video where a school bus was going down and there was a car parked and it had to almost go into oncoming traffic to get around. So that's very dangerous. But I do agree that we can't continue to Band-Aid everything all the time with no parking. And I do want to say also, you know, we had an opportunity to get a fresh perspective on this RLUPA in January that just passed. And I did vote no for our RLUPA attorney at the time, not because he's not a smart attorney, but because I thought a fresh perspective would have been helpful for us to maybe change some of what residents are concerned about. So I do agree on that matter as well, and I did try to move something forward at the time. But I will vote yes on this because, as everyone has just stated, this is very dangerous. The road is very narrow, and watching those school buses were a grave concern to me. So I vote yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the reintroduction and first reading of ordinance 2026-17, exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank NJSA 45.14. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
I think I said my comments 2 meetings ago. I think Councilman Borelli really reiterated a lot of it in his opening comments. We obviously, it's the economy and everything else, it is 2026, and it's really just the reintroduction of that appropriations cap from, I think it was 2 meetings ago.
May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-17 on first reading and introduction and to authorize the notice of the public hearing?
Motion.
I'm sorry, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
Right. This is the budget appropriation limit, correct?
Correct.
All right, well, I have a lot of stuff to say about this, especially after what happened after the vote. Our council president, who routinely oversteps his authority and is really the guy running the government, he sent out an inappropriate email to all township employees, fear-mongering to them over the last time we voted on this, attacking both myself and Councilman Borelli. I distinctly remember being told council needs to kind of, stay in their role. They shouldn't be talking to employees or department heads. I'm not sure how that is okay. But, I'd like to note that this budget is already late. I'd like to remind everybody that they held up the budget last year, even longer, over cutting code enforcement. You'll often hear the mayor, or council president talk down to our residents about not knowing our form of government. All right, you have legislative and you have executive. And under our form of government, the mayor is essentially the chief executive. They're managing the town, and they're responsible for the budget. I was elected not to just be a rubber stamp and to question everything. So I'm not just going to vote yes to increase spending caps or bad budgets. Councilman Borelli and I met with finance, and I got to tell you, they didn't paint a rosy picture of our finances. We wanted to see if there was any more we could cut or save. But in speaking with finance, cutting more of the budget could negatively impact the town. Costs went up, we spent more, we increased services, and we're keeping taxes flat, which we have for a while. We're relying on less reliable sources of revenue and burning through savings. None of this makes long-term financial sense. I'm very concerned about the future of our town. I understand we had snowstorms. We spent, $3.4 million, I believe, on it. Did we have to spend that much? I'm not sure. Did the mayor have to give double time plus 75 an hour to people working it? I don't know. I'm not in that position. We now went to weekly recycling. I remember talking to the council president about putting the contract up for bid, which I wholeheartedly supported. I was hoping we could save some money. Company came back to us, and I believe we could have saved money, but he made the choice to increase services. I remember asking him, do we have the money for this? He said yes. Now we're paying almost $500,000 more a year for recycling. The mayor has paid assistants that also work for her real estate business. Council president has a assistant that no one's ever seen and didn't even know existed till recently. We've increased the police force to the highest it's ever been. While we support our police, that's a significant financial cost to the town. I believe the town's been mismanaged. I don't want to vote to increase spending cap, but I don't feel like I have a choice. The real issue is the decisions and conditions that brought us here. I like to be fair because none of this is simple or easy, but I'm tired of pretending like things are good while they're not. Things don't look good, but I hope we can fix it. I am unhappily voting yes on this.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
So I'll be voting on this for the third time. I just want to touch on some of this as well. I know that every department cut. I did speak to Mr. Tarafanko about that. They cut, they're pretty paper thin. Councilman Borelli mentioned possibly cutting the additional services next year, Councilman. If that's something we want to entertain, I have no problem. We could look at it. And if it's necessary, absolutely. If extra services are not something that we need as a necessity, I have no problem looking to eliminate some if we have to save money. In terms of the snow removal, it was very expensive. And I'm just going to say this again, not that I'm right all the time. However, and I think Council President knows what I'm going to say. In January, when we put this out to bid, it was for all of Jackson. So you had to have one company that could cover all of Jackson, 104 square miles. And I said in January, can we regionalize Jackson to 3 or 4, regions where we can have a bid where different vendors could bid, and we can have multiple vendors, and we can have them get a better price. We get a better price because we can have them kind of bid against each other who's lower. At the time, we couldn't do that. So we had one bid, the same bid that's been in town for a long time. When you only have one bid and you have to accept that bid, they could put whatever price they want. So and I thought they did a fantastic job, by the way. The snow removal this year was fantastic. I have nothing against the vendor and what they did and how they did it. They did a great job. But for the sake of saving money, I think if we would have put it out regional, we could have had 3 or 4 vendors covering. Yes, it would have been a little bit more work for DPW to communicate with 3 or 4 vendors instead of 1, but we may have been able to save money. And at the time, I was the only councilman that voted no on the one vendor because I thought it would be counterproductive. I do come from a business background as well, so I wanted to have some fair play. However, they did a great job. It did cost quite a good bit of money, but we can look at that when that contract is over for the future. I'm all for looking at what we could do to make things more affordable. So for this, I will vote yes for the third time because I know it's necessary. And one other thing, one thing I am not comfortable with cutting is our police force. We need them. They keep us safe. I'd rather look at other areas, but I will always support the blue, and that will be my last resort in cutting, would be our police force.
Council President Bernstein?
Sure. So thank you, Clerk. And again, this is also the third time that we're voting on this. So I just wanted to address a couple things, and I think they are obviously, as we get to the next meeting on June 9th, it will be the budget, hopefully the budget adoption, is that I definitely welcome and I look forward to continuing the conversations. I'm happy that my colleagues have engaged with the business administrator and our CFO, who off the record, on the record, is doing a phenomenal job, considering that, she really came in to help us out. So we really, really appreciate it. And again, thank you to Manchester for allowing her to help us out here in Jackson. And we're hoping that maybe, okay, I'm not going to say it. Maybe she'll stay here. Okay, no, I got a nod. No, she can't stay here. But I just want to address a couple of things. With regard to the snow, I do agree with Council Vice President that our vendor definitely did a great job this year, considering the amount of snow that we got. We are a huge town, and you don't know it until it snows sometimes, or you're out there putting out signs for political season. We have a very, 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 very large town. I think our vendor did a great job. I will say that I was told by our business administrator that the vendor has reached out. He still does have another year to his contract, but he has reached out to possibly consider dropping his fees for next year because he understands the financial situation we're in. And obviously, I think we would take any drop that he gives, but I think we'll continue to have those conversations. With regard to, and I just want to address it, and I'm not going to go further than that. With regard to an email that obviously was sent out to all employees, I just want to put it out there is that it is my understanding, and Attorney McCuck can correct me if I'm wrong, in the Faulkner form of government, council is supposed to go through the administration to communicate with employees. I did receive that night and the next morning multiple questions and comments and emails from various employees. Anytime I've ever communicated with any of our employees, it's always been through the office of the mayor with her permission. And it's my understanding, and Attorney McCuck, if you could just elaborate on that with the Faulkner form of government, if that's allowed or not.
Certainly, the mayor is in charge of all personnel of the municipality, with the exception of the clerk. and the mayor can give that authority to the council individuals if she so chooses.
Okay, and I also just want to put out there is that the mayor is the one running the town, and I take offense at anyone because we don't agree on everything. We actually don't agree a lot of times, but we just try to keep our arguments behind the scenes. So I vote yes, but I also thank council for meeting with our business administrator and our CFO and our financial team. I know it wasn't an easy conversation, and I think that's really what government is, sitting down, trying to work out our issues. And I think we're not going to agree on everything, but I think we all agree that this was necessary for the operations of the township. So thank you to our CFO. Thank you to Mr. Tarafenko and whoever else. And I know there were other conversations since then with other budget wizards to try to make our budget as good as possible. So thank you.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the payment and authorization of bills and claims. The following abstentions are from Councilman Borelli: AET01, EYE01, NJD04, NJM06, NJS04, and RUTO04. And from Council Vice President Palmieri, V0141764 and V0141780. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
Yeah, the only comment that I wanted to make is Councilman Borelli reached out to me, and I appreciate that that all of our council members are really looking into all these bills and claims to better understand it. He reached out about a vendor that he actually said was not an approved vendor for this year, asking how that ended up on the agenda. And I just want to thank clerk for getting the information to us. That was a bill that was sent now from a last year bill from a vendor that was here last year. I guess Attorney McGuckin, is there a time frame for a vendor to send a bill in? This was an attorney who was an attorney last year, and we got the bill. A bill came in April based on the invoice that the clerk sent me. And again, I'm not questioning the services, I mean, directly, but it's more like we're literally a year after. I think it was October of last year, almost a year, where this was a former legal counsel. And now they're sending an invoice in. And Councilman Borelli rightfully noticed that we didn't reappoint this person this year.
So there's no statutory timeframe. However, by waiting that long, you're into a new budget season. And council, if they wish to fight the payment of it, which may or may not be economically a smart idea, but that would be an argument that it's a new budget year and it took too long for them to submit it. But there's no statutory timeframe that it must be submitted by a particular date.
Yeah, Nino, you have something to say? Your mic.
Wish there was something on the books that would, prevent towns for, having to accept services way after that service was provided, though. But there's no legal way to do that, then we have no choice, I guess, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a legal way that we could adopt something for the future, or?
Technically, it's statute of limitations. It's a contract claim, and it's 6 years by statute.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the only comment, but thank you, Nino, for noticing that and picking up on that, because he was like, our bond counsel, we haven't done bond work yet this year, so we got work from our previous legal counsel, so that's it, Madam Clerk.
I have a motion to approve the bills and claims.
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes, with those extensions that you had mentioned. Ms.
Councilman
Martin, thank
Grassi?
you.
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
I've had less than 2 days to review the bills. I'm going to abstain.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
First, I'd like to commend Councilman Borelli. Nice catch. Great job. From the 2 abstentions that the clerk read in, the rest, yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes, and thank you, Nino, again.
Are we sure that this particular vendor is done now? All services have been.
Madam Clerk
paid for?
or Business Administrator, could we possibly send an email to them tomorrow, just clarifying that this is it, so we don't get something in 6 months and 9 months and in a year from now?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For tonight's consideration of resolutions 160 through 165, 2026, listed by title. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
Yeah, so before I ask if anyone has anything to pull out, there's 2 of them that I just want to highlight for a second, and one I'm going to ask Attorney McGuckin just to explain. It was something else that Councilman Borelli asked me about earlier today. But first, I want to just explain R165-2026. It's a shared service agreement with the fire department. we are renewing it. It's my understanding that every 5 years, this gives the fire department the ability that when someone parks in a fire lane or in a handicap spot or anything, to enforce it and give a municipal ticket. I was actually fascinated when I saw it, so that was just the background on that. And then Attorney McGuckin, on R162, I think that's the one that Councilman Borelli asked me about. It was about soil removal for an approved project. If you could just elaborate a little bit on the process of that soil removal.
Sure, the township adopted, quite frankly, very strict soil removal and mining license ordinances over the last 2 years. Under the ordinance, if you're less than 1,000 square foot of soil removal and you're before a planning or zoning board, the board itself can grant that removal authority for the removal of the grading of the soil. But if you go more than 1,000 square feet, it has to come before the council. There's an entire process under the ordinance, must be reviewed by the township engineer, who has to sign off and impose any conditions that would be appropriate. And in this case, the township engineer, by letter dated May 15th, provided that recommendation and the conditions which are included within the resolution as part of it.
Okay. Anyone else from council? Anyone from the public have any resolution they want us to take off for a separate vote? Okay, Madam Clerk, continue.
I have a motion to authorize the consent agenda resolutions 160 through 165, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
Yes.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes, and again, I just want to also just stress 163, which is a shared service with Ocean County Prosecutor. We love having a great working relationship. We're always supportive of any shared service with our county and our state law enforcement agencies. So yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. The next item of business are resolutions 166 and 167, authorizing the issuance of estimated tax bills and a budget amendment. Council President Bernstein, are there any comments?
No. Business Administrator Terrafranco, is there anything that we want to add? I know the first one is with regard to the fire department with their budgets. And the second one is 167 is, which obviously will go into more deeply, but the next meeting was, I think, throughout the budget process with the CFO meeting together with Councilman Pollock and Councilman Borelli and others, is that there were some minor changes that need to be made. There were some cuts made in some other departments, and there were some healthcare savings that we were able to find. And I think that's what those reflect. Administrator Terrafranco?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to authorize Resolution 166, authorizing the issuance of estimated tax bills?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
Yes.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes.
Motion carries. May I have a motion to authorize Resolution 167, 2026, budget amendment?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Pollock?
Yes.
Council Vice President Palmieri?
Yes.
Council President Bernstein?
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, before we open to the public, one thing that came across my desk, I think it was yesterday, but I just wanted to address it for a second. I know I see someone in the crowd who I know which is something we've been pushing for a very long time. There has been talk within the fire department for the past couple of years about consolidation within some of our districts. And there was a hope that consolidation, which has been approved, I think it's by District 2 and District 3, internally would end up on this agenda. I spoke to our attorney multiple times today. We are going to be giving notice with the clerk's office. That is something which is hopefully going to be on our next agenda, which will be the budget adoption agenda in June 9th. And hopefully there will be representatives from the fire department and some of the legal team to explain it, because I think that is something which, since day number one, since I've been on council, which is, over 2 years ago, and it's something that there have been multiple people who have been pushing for and working for, and I think it will be a historic completion of that project, or almost completion of that project. So I just wanted to put that out there, that will hopefully be on our next agenda, as long as the attorneys for the fire department could hopefully, and the representatives can be here to make their proper presentations. So I just felt it was important.
The next item on the agenda is public comment. At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to speak and may only speak once. May I have a motion to open public comment? Excuse me.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Elliot Shemtov, Jackson. Good evening. You may have noticed I brought my own podium tonight. A few weeks ago, the wooden podium that residents had used for years quietly disappeared. When people asked where it went, we were told it was out for repairs. That was weeks ago. If this council cannot tell us who is repairing it or when it's coming back, this isn't a repair. They took the podium away so residents would feel smaller standing here before you. So as you can tell, I brought my own. Anyone who wants to use it tonight is welcome to it, because the right to stand and be heard does not belong to this council to take away. This is the people's house. So good evening. I want to thank over 1 million people who watched our last meeting. It was a record. Now let me tell you what we've been up to since then. Last time I came here with documented questions, the responses was silence. So we filled out Oprah requests. The clerk's office said they needed a 2-week extension. They're too overburdened is what we were told. Let me put that into context. The clerk's office has 4 staff members. All of them collect stipends for additional clerk duties. And this township recently hired a dedicated remote Oprah clerk specifically to handle public record requests. That's 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With extra pay, whose job is records. 5 people, extra pay, cannot produce the records. That's not a backlog, ladies and gentlemen, that's a stall. And conveniently, the extensions land after tonight's meeting. How convenient. While we're on the subject of the clerk's office, let's talk about who's not in it. Council President Bernstein has a $50,000 assistant who works from home, who we are paying for. So let me say that again. The Council President of Jackson Township has a personal staffer that no resident here has ever seen. The last council president did not need one. Isn't that right, Mayor Kuhn? The clerk's office handled it. The same clerk's office that is somehow too overwhelmed to answer a records request. So tonight, I want a real answer, not a deflection, not a procedural dodge, not a, we'll get back to you, Mr. Shemtov. What does she do that 4 clerks and a township clerk cannot? What's her job description? Who approved this position and when? Last I heard, the appointed mayor was the chief executive of this town. And while a council president who never held a title, before it suddenly entitled to a $50,000 remote staffer with full benefits and accrued time off, what services are residents getting cut so that bill can be paid? This council had weeks to prepare an answer for me and the residents of Jackson. The residents deserve one tonight before the meeting ends. So I'll ask the question, who the hell's running Jackson Township here? Because the council president's hiring assistants the last council president did not need. He is directing personnel matters that are not his to direct. And the mayor, who under our form of government is the one who's supposed to do all this, is silent. This all ends when you answer the questions, starting with the one about the assistant tonight, before this meeting ends, or every resident watching will know exactly what your silence means. So I still have 56 seconds. Myself and the residents behind me in Jackson Township would love to hear some answers. The floor is yours.
Any other questions? That's it.
No answers?
I just want to know if there's any other questions.
No other questions?
Okay, great. So with regard to, you made an accusation, and I see you posted it online also, with regard to me inappropriately directing employees, and you referenced an email to a employee within code enforcement, if I remember correctly. I'm proud of that email. That employee is a hardworking employee who puts in extra hours every single week, who after the mayor got sworn in, we took a tour, and I met her for the first time in a different setting, and she brought up concerns about the way she was not properly compensated in the past, and I've been advocating for her from day one, and I don't think legal counsel, is that a Faulkner violation for me to advocate for an employee to get a promotion to our business administrator?
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
No other responses on the assistant?
Sure. So, legal counsel, is there anything, could you elaborate for a second about the concept of a confidential assistant or a secretary?
The position is available and can be filled by the council and the mayor in the clerk's office. I'm not sure which budget line item it comes out of, but if that's the government's choice as to what they want to do, they can do that. And it's not unusual to have a confidential assistant or an administrative and/or a council president. Other towns do it as well, especially a town the size of Jackson. And I understand that's what's being done now.
And I'm just going to elaborate for a second, and your time's up, but I'll elaborate for a second. So I can't speak for about when Mayor Kuhn was Council President Kuhn, but I put in a ton of hours, and I think you know that, 30, 40, 50, a ton of hours in here, and I am overloaded with phone calls and other administrative and council duties. And I am happy that the mayor realized that there is a need for more assistance. That's what that administrative clerk does. She does scheduling, she answers calls. When the Housing Bureau needed some help in the beginning, she helped out with some of the things that they needed. And there are residents and there are many people who have interacted with her and are very pleasantly surprised and happy with the work that she's doing. But I'm not going to let anyone continue to go after any of our employees. It's a personnel matter. Thank you.
So under the Faulkner
Thank
Act,
you.
Mayor Kuhn.
Your time is up. Your time is up.
So you don't want to answer that question?
The Mayor Kuhn does hiring, correct. But your time is up, Mr. Shemtov.
Fair enough.
Long time no see. We're here.
Jim Selacchia. When Mr. Bernstein mentioned budget whizzes, I don't think it was mentioned,
Could you,
particularly mentioned me, because I don't consider myself a budget whiz.
I was referring to Carlos.
Yeah, I figured that. So I just want to let everyone know, I've been getting a lot of comments from residents. They appreciate the fact that I come up here with my comments on the budget. They appreciate that I do it. Some are looking for me for answers. So what I want to explain to everybody, today, myself and two other residents met with Mr. Terafenko, Ms. Lozano.
She forgets you.
Regarding the budget. And what I will say is we agreed on some things, we disagreed on some things. It was a good, I would say we were probably there for a good 2 hours.
Carlos took up most of it.
I'm not going to make any judgments on anybody. But one of the things I do want to make sure everyone understands, everyone's working towards a good, solid budget. We're not, I don't think that's not the goal. But there are a lot of issues that really need to be addressed. And I brought up a lot. And most of what I brought up doesn't pertain particularly to the 2026 budget, but it pertains more to how this town is planning for the future. Or let me rephrase that, how this town is lacking planning for the future at this point. And I think I got some agreement that that is an important thing that we need to look forward to. The disagreement that we still have, and I'm going to bring it up, is I personally believe that the budget that was introduced a month ago was not introduced completely because the state requires a user-friendly budget to be given at the exact same time that the budget is introduced to the public as it produced, just as it does the normal budget, the user budget has to be posted. It was not. Obviously, Mr. Terafenko and our CFO disagrees with me. I presented a letter that I gotten from someone at the Department of Consumer Affairs that basically states what I just stated, that it is required. They've asked me to go back and ask the follow-up question. And the follow-up question is, what's the next steps? Does Jackson just continue along the lines? We're going to get, I think we're getting the user-friendly budget tonight.
I think it's in our hand.
So is that okay? And we move forward with only 14 days to review it instead of the traditional 28 that's required? Or, in my view, do we go back and say the budget was never truly introduced, so we need to go back and start the process all over? And listen, I know I've been fighting with you guys that we're always late on the budget, and now here I am doing something that's going to force it to be even later. But the reality is, I think it's got to be done the right way. So as soon as I receive my answer, and Mr. McGuckin, if you have an opinion on it, that's fine. I'm waiting to get I'll get my answer. I sent the email when I got home between the meeting and this meeting, so we'll see what we get there. But I think you have to be prepared that next meeting may not be a vote on the budget that you guys have presented.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Terafranco, I don't know if you've had the conversation with Attorney McGuckin yet about Jim's concerns?
No, we haven't, because we just met with him today over it. I will defer to the CFO's 20-plus years' experience if she could shed a little light on process.
And can we call the CFO's here? Could I call him? Are you able to come up for a minute and just answer that publicly? Now that you and Jim are best friends?
Thank you. So, yes, the statute does say that the user-friendly budget, it's a tool that's in conjunction with the formal budget document. So we are in a disagreement in the fact that there is no reintroduction of the budget, but as I recommended to Jim, that he reach back out to the state and get that confirmation for himself. But there are many towns that, may or may not have that user-friendly budget available at the time of their budget introduction. So considering the stresses of what's been going on in Jackson, before I got here and the different parties that were involved in the budget.
You could continue. Jim has to sit down.
So that was the reason that it wasn't available. But all of the information that's contained in that user-friendly budget is either in the budget document itself or through different paperwork or documents within the municipality. So, I guess only time will tell.
Okay.
What happens. But I personally, I'm not aware of any, and maybe Mr. McGuckin could elaborate, but I'm not aware of the ability to reintroduce the budget. Once it's introduced, and then you can make amendments to it. We did have a discussion about whether or not the user-friendly budget is considered an amendment. So our auditor didn't, I agree with him as well, because it's not actually part of the budget. It is a more detailed version for the public to make it, we always make a joke, user-friendly, it's not so user-friendly.
We can't adopt the budget until local finance board approves it, correct?
Correct.
And they're aware of this issue, so if they approve it,
Well, they know because everything has to be submitted through the online portal. So the user-friendly budget was not included in all of the documentation that was submitted.
I understand, but they're aware of the issue now.
Yes.
And if they believe,
No, well, they would be aware either way, yes.
So,
now they're aware that the user-friendly budget wasn't available when the budget was introduced. That's your concern, right? And they're aware of that now, correct? If they don't approve the budget,
They will
the
be
budget for
tomorrow
that
morning.
reason, that'll be the answer.
so I would ask, I guess, Attorney McGuckin and the CFO and the business owner, if you could, I guess, work on this tomorrow and provide clarity to council. Thank you.
I haven't seen the letter either.
Yeah.
If you get that for me, I'll be glad to take a look.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Somebody else, there's the others.
Thank you. Carlos? Thank you. Thank you.
Carlos Martins, Jackson, New Jersey. I'm on the zoning board, but I'm here as a resident. And I'm here today actually as a CPA. So as Jim mentioned, we did have a meeting with, this is called the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. There's 3 of us in there, myself, Jim, and Joe Candido. And we're all volunteers. Costs you guys nothing. We do this because we don't have anything else better to do. So Jim already mentioned the real problem, I think you guys all talked about it, is what's our 5-year plan? Where are we going? Because right now, we're bleeding. We're bleeding about $2 million in surplus a year since 2003. Right? We got to stop the bleeding. And to do that, we can cut as much as we want, but we got to grow that revenue. You know, any company, you got to grow revenue. So I'm going to save that for another day. That's a very long discussion. And the way I like to put it is, it's okay. Lie to me. Tell me we have a 5-year plan. Just tell me so I can sleep at night. But I know we don't. And we need it. We should go look at that. Anyway, what I want to get to is, how do we solve the problem this year, right? As you mentioned, we got to, you know, to replenish that surplus back to something in the, I'll say, 9 million range. Right now, the budget says it's going to be 2 million. But let's say we can replenish it. I did some math. I think we should be able to replenish it to somewhere around $9 million, back to $9 million, which is still 2 million lower than last year. So it's still not great. But in order to accomplish that, we're gonna have to do some hard things. So one of them is, we gotta look at the bills that we do, you guys approve all the time. We gotta really look deep into that. Mr. Morelli, thank you for what you did. One question. During that time, why not open it up to the public? You have a bunch of eyes on it, like myself, like Jim. Why can't I comment on those bills before you guys approve them? Because maybe I looked at something, saw something that you might want to know about. Instead of using my 5 minutes, which I tell you funny stories instead of going through the bills. But anyway, something to think about. You know, maybe that part of it, open it up to the public. Maybe not everybody has comments on it, but the more eyes you get on it, you know, the better it is for everybody, I think. So just consider that. Okay, so 2 sessions ago, I asked about the recycling. I asked why there was about $272,000 of bills in there at the time. And you mentioned, yeah, I don't understand those fees. I think Mr. McGuckin was gonna look at it and so on. So was that ever done? Is it true what I'm hearing, that the actual recycling budget is not going to be flat to last year? It's going to go up something like $400,000. You can answer after I'm finished. That's fine. But I would like an answer. Okay, that's one. Last session, which I didn't get a chance to ask about, there was $18,000 to Hubbard Associates for a feasibility study. 2 feasibility studies, one for 10,000, one for 8,000. So the question is, what are they studying? That's a question, so I'd like to know that. Then I guess I see it here. There's budget assistance, $3,000. I guess that's the consultants to help put the budget together. Okay, I think that's what that is. But it is hard to tell the way these things are laid out. Okay, and then my favorite. So there's a lot of fees here for Dasty, Murphy, and McGuckin, PC. And one of them, which is labeled as general matters and admin. So I personally never like the words other, miscellaneous, and general admin, because it tells you nothing. And you know that's where the devil is. So you always ask about that. I'm not saying that's where the devil is here. I'm not saying. But it is a bill for almost $25,000. So I would like to know what's general admin, general matters. Is that a monthly fee, $24,700 that we pay you every month?
No, our bills are by the hour. We bill repeatedly. We bill every single thing we do, and we provide a detailed itemized bill for all services rendered. We were directed years ago to divide it up into categories: administration, land use, and clerk's office, I believe.
Yep.
So those are the 3 basic categories. But the itemized bill we provide is very detailed and provides everything we do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does split out. But that one, $24,000 is just general admin.
No, that's for everything. Well, I'm sorry, that would have been everything billed to the admin account. But there's an itemized bill listing everything we bill to that account.
All right.
So, Carlos, your time is up. I just want to address some of the things that you brought up for a second. And I'm just With regard to your question about the bills, and I do want to apologize to my council members. I think Councilman Pollock is correct. We got it a little late. Recently, we've been getting the bills came over to me. I think I was offline for a holiday, and right after I called the clerk, it was on Memorial Day weekend. She did send it over, but I'm going to ask administration if we could encourage finance, making sure that we get it earlier, which I know when mayor was council president, she was very, very strict in it. I got a little loose in it, and we're going to try to do better so everyone could have proper time over the weekend to go through everything, because it is rushed. So I'll say that. With regard to recycling, I don't have a great answer for you. I'm just going to be honest, because we definitely had those conversations with the vendor, and there was supposed to be a follow-up conversation, and that conversation has not happened. And I mentioned to the business administrator earlier today that we need to get that vendor on the phone and figure out exactly what is going on before we get to the budget adoption next meeting. So I hope to have we will have an answer for you by next meeting. I don't currently have an answer for you.
Okay. That's
But sometimes I'd rather be honest, say I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bigger message is that we need to
Yeah.
get real strong
We got that next.
Just
Carlos,
make-
time's up. Adam.
Adam Heidi, resident of town. I just want to say I'm on the environmental commission, but I'm just here as a resident. I just want to quickly talk about data centers and echo a lot of what Councilman Pollock has spoken on. Yes, our township doesn't define a data center currently. There's no mention of it. And I understand it is your belief that means it is not a permitted use. However, you admitted yourself that someone can go to our zoning board and try to get approval. So to piggyback on what Councilman Pollock's work over the last few months, I strongly suggest everyone on this board puts any differences aside and gets behind him. To my understanding, the ordinance that Councilman Pollock has drafted has been in collaboration with Pemberton Township, who was the first township in New Jersey to successfully and legally prohibit any data center within their township. I believe he got in touch, was it Harry Harper, who's currently an active councilman on Pemberton Township? He validated a majority of what's in there, and I strongly suggest you guys get behind him. It's for the environment. We can all agree, Democrats, Republicans, whatever it is, race, religion, we need to protect our environment. So I strongly suggest we take a deep breath and we don't be afraid to let a new councilman do something. Okay? Thank you.
I just want to respond to two things, Adam, that you said. First of all, I don't know if you heard, but I did commit that any draft or anything that Councilman Pollock or any of my colleagues on this matter sent, I will send over to our attorney. And if there's a consensus, I don't mind introducing it. That being said, even if we would use the word ban and we would say it's forbidden to have a data center, anyone could apply to the zoning board. No, I'm not referring to the draft that Councilman Pollock's working. I'm talking any language, anyone has the right to come and counsel, and legal counsel, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone can always come to the zoning board, no matter what we do. We can never stop someone from coming in front of the zoning board. The zoning board legally has to accept and hear them. Legal counsel, is that correct?
Interesting you brought up Pemberton. I wrote that ordinance. And Harry Harper was the council president, and we adopted there. We told them the same thing. You can ban it by ordinance. However, anyone can still make an application for use variance before the zoning board.
Absolutely.
So legal counsel, I would kindly request, being that you don't have to bill us for it, if you could just send us over that ordinance.
So just to follow up, please.
Absolutely. We're all on the same page here.
Thank you.
I'm Christina Quatrana. How are you?
Great. How are you?
All right.
Welcome. Good to see you.
I have a couple questions real quick. I've lived here 24 years and my taxes have gone up unbelievably in like the past year or 2 years. And I don't understand that because we have more people coming into Jackson and yet I'm in a tiny condo and the amount of money I'm paying is through the roof. And I can't understand what's going on exactly. You know, that was one of the first questions that I had. If anyone wants to comment on that.
So ma'am, I don't want to take away from your time. So ask your questions and then I'll direct your questions to the right person.
The second thing was I saw something says Jackson Township sits above the Wood Cohansey Aquifer and increased demand combined with high-density construction threatens both table water and water quality, meaning the aquifer that is underneath Jackson Township can get highly contaminated with more and more people coming in. There is a reason that Jackson has been so low in population. And I think it has stayed that way because of this reason. But is anyone being concerned about the possibility that one day we may turn on the water and sludge comes out of the pipe or something, really bad happening? And I'm asking that question so it never happens. Are we being considerate of what's happening? And then I just want to follow up with one story. My chiropractor is right in Lakewood, and I'm good friends with him, Dr. Howard Tarnowski. And I know I know the community very well. And one lady came into the waiting room one day, and this happened like about a year or two ago. And she explained how she just moved to Jackson. She moved into a new development, and the cellar literally just caved out, just gave out. The foundation of the house gave out. And she explained to everybody how it cost like $20,000 to $30,000 to fix this. And the thought that goes through my head, does it have anything to do with the fact that there's an aquifer, what I just read, the aquifer underneath? Are we taking into consideration, if it's lovely that people want to move here, but are we taking into consideration the safety? Because God's honest truth, I've lived here 24 years now, and there's a reason people did not move into Jackson, and there wasn't an overpopulation. But are we is all of this being taken into consideration because we don't want a disaster on our hands? Just like I saw that young lady talk in the office, and I looked, and many of this, I'm sure, must have been brought up, I would hope, but
Sure.
I'm new to this. I don't normally come to these
Sure.
meetings.
So
And I'm a registered nurse, so this is not my area of expertise. You know what I mean?
So first of all, thank you for coming. We always welcome new people here.
Sure.
With regard to the first question, you asked about taxes. So, and again, I don't know your address, and I'm not a tax expert, but the town recently did a reevaluation. It was long overdue. I think it was like 16 or 17 years since the last one was done. And generally, the way it works with the tax reeval, at least the way it was explained to me, is a 30-30-30. 30% of the town goes up, 30% goes down, and 30% stays the same. And Mayor, just I guess, am I correct with that general percentage? I know there was a process to appeal if you felt that it was not, your tax reassessment was not done correctly. I think the local statutory period for that to happen did pass, but I'm sure if you reach out to the mayor's office tomorrow, she can probably set you up a conversation with her tax assessor, so at least he can make sure that there wasn't any mistakes made. They usually are pretty reasonable and more than willing to sit down and have those conversations. After that, generally the process is if on the local level they don't find any errors, then you could file an appeal in the county. But I do agree. Generally, people are saying with all the development, all the commercial, and actually, I was talking to Carlos before the meeting, where actually our percentage of commercial is a little bit lower than it's been in the past, which for taxes is not great. So I would recommend tomorrow reach out to the mayor's office or go over to the mayor or the business administrator after the meeting and set that up. With regard to the other, with regard to the environment. So we obviously have our disagreements up here sometimes. That's what makes government fun sometimes. But I think everyone over here is in agreement of the importance of the environment. Ms. Reynolds and I think it was Adam brought up originally about the importance of doing ERI, which is an environmental resource inventory study, if I got the words correctly. It was stalled. We are having our first meeting, I think this week. I think it is on Thursday at 3 o'clock. Myself, Ms. Reynolds, hopefully the chairman of the Environmental Commission, and we're definitely looking for more volunteers. We do have an Environmental Commission where the mayor just appointed another member that came up at the last meeting. We're trying, and obviously there's always more to do. We do live in New Jersey where some of the laws just don't always make so much sense, and we have to obviously comply with the law. With regard to that young lady who had a house that the foundation caved in, if I were her, I would be suing the person who sold me the house because they obviously sold something wrong. But we are trying, and like I said, there are environmental commission meetings, which I don't think anyone really from the public generally goes. But I would recommend. Very few people. I see someone raise their hand in the back. Generally go, but I would recommend. I think they're all newly appointed. They're all doing a pretty good job, and they sent an email today with an ordinance recommendation, and hopefully this ERI will be the groundwork that at least we can map out where some of our concerns are.
I did talk with your offices about, reevaluating our properties and everything. And he told me, he said, have you renovated anything in your home? And I said, no.
Okay, so
And he said, don't worry about it. Taxes aren't going to go up on your place
So-
because you didn't. But the truth is, it did.
So I would recommend follow up with the mayor again after the meeting and set up a meeting where he can go through that with
But
you.
I was told that costs money.
A meeting with the mayor or the tax office should not cost you $1. Yeah, the local tax office. But thank you. Fine. Next.
So Tom Smith, 520 Whitesville Road. Remember, I was here a couple of weeks ago discussing something with the planning board, which you were like, well, why are you here about the planning board? And Mr. McGuckin, you were there at the last planning board that I was at, and they're very adept at limiting the questions you can ask in the public participation part. So my issue was a commercial application next door to us in the PM1 zone. We're residential, and it's surrounded by residential properties. And the construction company that has the application in is a paving company, heavy equipment company, identical to a previously zoning board denied use variance. And I provided you guys some information on that with the aerials showing that they had a whole boatload of heavy equipment and trailers and a fleet of dump trucks that were not in the application. And Mr. McGuckin and two of the board members told me when I was bringing this up during the planning board hearing that we can only adjudicate what's in their application. Okay, so that was an office building, a small equipment yard, and a warehouse. And if you remember, you told me in no uncertain terms, if it's not in the application, we can't approve it. So basically, look at what's in the application. So the resolution, I couldn't get a copy of the draft resolution, but the final resolution, you go to the planning board meeting, they vote on it. Nobody gets to ask any more questions. So they approved it. So I had to Oprah that. Took a week to get it. Everything that I complained about that was not in testimony, not in a traffic plan, not in the EIS, not in testimony, and not in the application. Lowboy trailers, heavy equipment, a fleet of dump trucks, it's in the resolution. After I was told in no uncertain terms, if it's not in the application, it can't be there. If you read, and my question to you as the attorney, who authors that resolution? Is that the applicant's attorney and they send a draft to the board? And someone from your office review it?
So I just want to interrupt for a second before I give the floor to Attorney McGuckin. You're referring to a planning board application that the planning board attorney had this conversation with. Mr. McGuckin is a municipal attorney.
No, I thought you were there.
No, Mr. McGuckin was not by the planning board.
Who was the planning board attorney?
Mr. Shea.
Okay, I apologize for that, but yeah, he sat right there and told me.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because I wasn't
It was
sure.
on
Yeah.
video. My apologies. That if it's not in the testimony and it's not in the application, basically I don't have to be concerned about it. And all of those things were put in the resolution. So yeah, I can send a letter asking for reconsideration with all the issues. I can do the written to Superior Court. But if you don't have any option to even speak to the planning board about what are you doing here with this? How did this resolution get through with things that weren't in there? There was even a hardship statement, which would be for a use variance, added to the resolution. There was no testimony about that. So I want to know where this resolution came from. And I mean, you're the only oversight option. I heard you at the parade yesterday say, I'm old school. So I don't know if that's old school means when something really stinks, I'm going to ask a question, or
So,
it's just municipal corruption. We
so
don't care.
I just want to make sure I understand. I'm clarifying your question in simple terms for myself. You're alleging that the resolution that the planning board adopted did not match what they agreed to, about the stipulations they agreed to?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so I'm going to ask then Councilman Bressi is our liaison to the planning board. I'm going to ask Councilman Bressi then to go back because, and again, I don't know the process, but that is something the planning board is supposed to hold. There's all the members of the planning board are supposed to hold the feet of the review that resolution, making sure it matches the testimony that was given. And Councilman Bressi, anything you want to add?
Well, a lot of the testimony that Mr. Smith brought up was that the company had these vehicles in Lakewood, not part of that application, and that's their business in Lakewood, and they were going to bring them here, and they stipulated they weren't. So I'll look at it again,
So
but
that should be part of the resolution.
resolution, right?
Correct. Now, let me just ask Attorney McGuckin, if it is found that the planning board in the resolution that they adopted missed certain things, and Councilman Bressi as our liaison would, I guess, look into that and determine that, could the planning board readopt and amend that resolution?
They could reconsider their approval if there was an obvious error, and they could change it if there was an obvious error. However, if there wasn't, and it's a question as to whether it was included or not, or it's not a close call, the written lieu of prerogative writ would have to be filed within 45 days from the date of the publication of the notice of the approval. And to answer your first question, the planning board attorney drafts the resolutions for planning board applications. I would say 99% of the
That makes me
time.
feel even worse, honestly.
So, Mr. Smith, your time, I just want to say, if you want to come after the meeting, talk to Mr. Bressi, and then he can go back and look into that and, I guess, exchange information with him. Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Yehuda Tomar, live in Jackson. I'm here tonight because I want to put something on record. Today, a cartoon was posted on a Facebook group called Jackson Township Residents for Change. That group is a rebuilt version of Christopher Jackson, the campaign group that helped elect Councilman Pollock when Facebook banned Councilman Pollock. Elliot Shemtov, the man who ran the councilman's campaign and who is now running for mayor on a ticket with the councilman's name attached to it, opened a new one. Same members, same tone, different name on the door. Today our cartoon was posted in the group depicting Jews not in a positive light, to say it at least. The post is now down, and I'm glad it is. In the beginning of this meeting, Councilman Pollock, you denounced some Facebook groups. Mr. Pollock, is this group included?
What is your question?
1 second, council, 1 second. Councilman Pollock, if you can direct your questions to council, then I'll allow Councilman Pollock to.
My question is, was the group you denounced earlier in this meeting, was it including Jackson Township Residents for Change?
What is your question?
Are you denouncing the content that's in that Facebook group?
If it's something negative towards others, sure.
Okay.
I do denounce that.
But I want to talk tonight is not about the actual cartoon, but it's about the 244 comments under it that are now deleted. The comments are now down. But I want to read out loud the comments because they have no place in Jackson Township. I can't even use this word. It says, beepin' Jews bastard. William Hinda, I guess his name is. The black hats need to be eliminated. They're taking over New Jersey. If they're not dealt with soon, raid Joanne Sadowski. Someone told her, eliminated sound like something a Nazi would say. Her response, I'm part German and damn proud of it. Hi, Hitler. Such comments have no place in Jackson. I can't even read these. Definitely organized crime hiding in the mask of religion. They are complete parasites. It's amazing how different we are with hygiene. Is this 2026? Deport? Dozens more. It's now down. But the people who wrote them are still in the group. And nobody, not the council member, not the candidate for mayor, has said one word to the people who wrote that, what I just read. Council member, Chris Pollock. I want these answers tonight. Do you agree with these kinds of comments, these kinds of cartoons depicting people, particularly Jewish people, in a certain light? Do you reject what's in that? The people who wrote them are still in the group. Will you ask Mr. Shemto publicly tonight to remove them? Yes or no? Mr. Shemto is running for mayor of this township on a ticket with your name on attached to it. The group posting these comments in his group. If he does not clean it up, are you willing tonight from that seat to come off his ticket to say to the people of this town that you will not run with him, will not endorse him, will not stand with him, or on a campaign poster until this is fixed? This is Jackson. This is not politics. I'm not here about development. I'm not here about zoning or any other fights in this town is having for years, way before anyone came here. This is America. This is just basic dignity, human dignity. I haven't been to this podium for a long time. But whoever posted that, shame on them. And whoever can't find the courage to denounce that, shame on them too.
All right, sir. I guess you're done. I'd like to answer. Yes, I do denounce anything that's hateful, that's wrong. I do not believe in hating on anybody based on race, religion, ethnicity. I don't support that in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even on Facebook. So I can't speak for random people on the internet, and I don't know how I'm held to account for any of that. I don't know these comments. I don't see these comments. And I certainly don't support it.
Anyone else?
Fred Morrow, Jackson. The last time I stood up here, the last meeting, I asked you 3 questions, Mr. Bernstein. One of which I feel now I'm going to have to put off for a while, but the first one was about recognizing employees of the town. It's great that everybody is recognized for their achievements, and students and athletes and everything else like that. What about the township employees? And I have to apologize to the police department, because when I made that statement, I did not realize that they had a member who was retired who passed. So my apologies, sir. Okay? Is that something that you don't do, or will you recognize the people who work for you? It's a little bit of dignity. I don't know these people, but I feel bad for them, because for all the years they put in, or all the time they put in working for this town, they don't even get recognized when they pass. I'm sorry. That doesn't hold with me, not at all. The second thing was, I had a question about some charges that were put down as miscellaneous on a P card. And I figured now I'm going to have to Oprah that. But I also read something on social media which said that no Oprah requests will be processed until after the budget is all said and done with. So I looked it up on the Oprah site, and it doesn't have any exception for that on the Oprah site. It says standard 7 days. And I think the township, because they said they don't have enough staff, no, I'm sorry. 7 days is what I'm pretty much guaranteed, unless I want to go through all of the bowl of, going all the way up to the legal avenue, and it makes no sense. But another thing that I got to get to before my time runs down, Mr. Palomari made a statement about the snow removal. Well, sir, they must have your address, because they sure don't have mine. I wound up shoveling 5 feet from the center of the road to the curb so that I could have mail delivery. I watched the plows plow 5 feet of snow into ADA compliant curbings that the township just had a grant to put in, a whole bunch of them in the development. And to top it all off, okay? And I've done plowing for 20 years, okay? They buried fire hydrants. Now, whose job is it to unbury? Is it the fire department? Is it the homeowner? Is it the town? Is it the MUA? Nobody will tell you. But that puts a real hazard out there. And, you know, as far as them doing a good job, I don't know who was supervising them to see that they were doing the job that they were supposed to. Because, like I said, they must have your address and they must have did your street really well. Because they didn't do mine. You know, this is getting to be a real pain. Okay, I'm.
So I just want to respond. So obviously with regard, I'm going to go to the second point first about the Oprah. So I think everyone at this point should know that you can't believe a very large percentage of what you see in social media. There is no exception in Oprah that says that until the budget process is done, that no Oprahs will be responded to. So if someone posted that, that's just a pack of lies. That's A. B, with regard to your first question about the employees. So overall, so I'm going to apologize. I do believe it should have been recognized by the last meeting, and I apologize on behalf of myself and my colleagues. The township did put out a statement, but we could have definitely have mentioned it by the last council meeting, and I'll take responsibility as council president as something I should have done. That being said, we have the utmost respect. We have phenomenal employees, and as was discussed earlier, I've had the opportunity through the mayor's office and meeting a very large percentage of them, and they're all great, which is why I have advocated for some of them to get promotions and to get raises, because I think we can do better. With regard to the snow removal, like I said, it's a large town, but I think overall, at least from my perspective, and I was out and about in the town, I think considering the amount of snow we got this year, I think the vendor and our DPW did a pretty good job. I would give them an A. Maybe not an A+, but I'd give them an A. But I understand your perspective and your street.
I mean, I'm out there.
And I will tell you that the mayor I was in DPW with her. She was fielding calls and text messages, and they were sending crews out there, and I think they were pretty responsive. And hopefully we won't have a winter like that for a long time. But yeah.
What happens if we do?
And if I could just
Yeah.
add, if they didn't do a good job, I know if you contacted DPW, Mr. Belinsky had somebody out pretty quick to come down your block again. So if they didn't, and myself included, when they plow, sometimes it blocks in your driveway. I had to shovel it out myself twice. And in terms of the fire hydrant, I dug that out myself. I'm not sure whose rule. I think it's if you live in front of one,
I
you have to
think
do
it's the
yourself.
residents' responsibility. Homeowner.
It's the residents. So I mean, but again, if they didn't do a good job for you, that's uncalled for. Give DPW a call. They came out pretty quick for everyone else that I spoke with.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
I
you.
wasn't calling DPW to stop them from doing what they were doing. I mean, you know, when they had the next day, they had front end loaders come and clean the storm drains. They couldn't see what was going on.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? You come up. Oh, you spoke already? We're gonna have to give everyone a chance first. We'll cut you after the meeting, yeah. There's still some other residents who haven't spoken. And you can speak once, you can come after the meeting.
My name is Trudy Burke, longtime resident of Jackson, lifetime resident of Jackson. I am one of those people that you said was notified about the rentals. I was not. I can't say I was not. I was. I got a text stating that I didn't pay my landlord registration. I got it after January when I came in January 2nd. And Andrew said, you have to wait for her to come back because I couldn't pay it because I bought the cash, but you only took debit cards. So I waited an hour in my car while she went out to her lunch break, came back in, paid my bill, and said, is there anything else I need to do? And she said, no, you're done.
You mind me just stopping for a second? You went into what department? I just want to make sure I have all the facts.
Into where you pay land registration to code enforcement.
Okay, fine.
I went there and I paid it, January 2nd. I sat in my car for an hour. If I knew I only had to go across the street to the new rental department and pay a $100 fee, I would have, but I was not told. So I did not. And then you can say you posted in the Asbury Park Press and you posted in the Lakewood thing and you blasted everybody. Half the people I saw in that office the day I came in to pay my $500 fine, are we stupid? We would have paid the $100 fee if we knew about it. Half the people in that office, some didn't speak English. Some were old people who don't read the paper, don't get emails, and don't get blasted on their phone. we would have paid our fines. But do we get a warning? Absolutely not. Saturday in the mail, we got our summonses that if we didn't pay it by last week, it would have been up to $750. So this township raked in over almost $500,000 with this new once a year visiting your thing. It's never had been done. Why did you ask who our tenant was in our apartment? If we had changed, we knew we needed to have an inspection. We don't all get it on our social
So
media.
I just want to, do you mind me asking you a quick question? So it's what you're saying is that you went into town and you were told, I'm going to use the word wrong information?
Absolutely. And then when I went back, the day I was mad, Monday, and found out, I went and she said, well, I had flyers printed up, but I was told not to give them out.
Whoa, I lost you there. You went in again. You originally came in January. You came again when you got
I
your.
had to get paid my $500 fine.
Okay, so that was in the past week or so.
Even when I said, I texted and I called and I said to Jose, they're saying I didn't pay my landlord fine, but I know I did. He said, Trudy, everybody's getting that, and I have it on my phone. Everybody's getting that. You're all good. He is the new person over in that department. I'm thinking coming in thinking I'm going to be scot-free because I asked a question and I was told wrong information. And that was February 9th.
And so
We didn't get no warnings. These poor old people who they were hysterical in the office, and he skimmied out. I came in hot because I was mad. The administrator, I was mad. You took in over $300,000 in fines. And then I go back because I was told I may need a landlord license. I have one little rental on my property, was notified by mail, God forbid, the normal way. Who reads the Asbury Park Press? Who reads the thing in Lakewood? Nobody. Nobody in this township.
Oh.
And I found out that most of the ones who paid are LLCs that in Lakewood who own hundreds of apartments, houses each. But us, over 400 people, who would have paid the damn $100 fee? But no, we didn't get a chance. We didn't get a stay. We had to pay it, or else it would have went to, this week, we would have went to $750 a person.
So, first of all, thank you for coming. And I'm going to, it sounds like you spoke to the business.
I tried to find Mr. Pollack. I went to his business. I left messages, but by the time I got on Saturday, if you didn't pay it by Friday, it was going up to $750.
So I guess legal counsel and business administrator Terafenko, many of the cases that I'm aware of, the people who called me, after pushing them a little bit, a lot of them did receive notice.
I got a text,
Yeah.
I did. But then I'm like,
No.
what happened?
Yes, what I'm asking, over here, you have a situation where a resident was given, she's alleging she was given false information by a township employee, and she doubled down and came back a second time, and she was again given that false information. What's the recourse for such a thing? Because, I mean.
I paid it.
No,
paid it
I
because
understand.
I wasn't going up to $750.
I understand that, but I think that's wrong.
But when they make a new thing, a new housing inspection thing, I get it, because I live next to a house that's rented. It is pitiful. It really, really is. I get it.
So business administrator Terafenko, Mayor, could you respond?
Council President, I just want to say, I was in town hall when Ms. Burke came in. She was talking to Michael, the clerk at the front desk, and she had told me, and the second, what came alarming to me, being in administration, is the second that she said that she went in there and she spoke to the clerk in code enforcement, and they told that she was going to give her a flyer, and that the department head of that department told
That's
her
not how we're
that's not,
advertising.
yeah, and then not my problem is that people were not being told from one department to walk across the street and go and pay in the second department, and now we're giving them violations if they, and we had somebody that came in and I said, can you prove that you came? He couldn't. He just was kind of going with the flow. So he paid his fine. But somebody that literally has case by case and word by word documentation that she came in not once but twice and waited in the parking lot to do what she needed to do, and was told that, not with the proper and procedures. I did have her speak with the business administrator when I was there, because she did have a story. So I just want to make sure that is,
So
that
I guess
we did try to
business
address that.
administrator Terafenko, I don't know, hopefully, I don't know if her check was deposited yet, but if you could have a conversation with our attorney,
I had
because
to wait for her to run my debit card, and I waited an hour.
I think
for her
this
to be
is
on her lunch.
what the resident is saying, I think is highly, highly inappropriate. The fact that she came into town hall, and twice, and she was given false information. So I guess if we could look into that and figure out.
We didn't, I just want to add, we
It's
didn't,
the poor little people.
we
The
didn't want to go
little
against
90-something-year-old
council.
man who was hysterical because they had to pay $2,000 in fines. It's not just me. A lot of us people, I don't read the news. I'm on Facebook. I don't belong to one Jackson group. Not one, because of the crap that goes on. But it's pitiful. I've lived here 64 years. My last name is the road I live on, and I was proud of it. I'm not proud no more. I get harassed all day long on my phone to buy my property. People walk up my driveway and don't leave us alone.
So I'm going to ask you if, after the meeting, if we could have a conversation with with the attorney. Thank you. Anyone else who didn't speak yet?
Hello, Carissa from 37 Birch Drive. I'm just following up, I guess, in regards to the whole bamboo situation. I haven't heard anything else since I've sent the email.
I'm going to ask Council Vice President. I know he was
I did
contact.
forward that to our
see your forward,
business, I
and that
believe, our
was all
business
I got.
administrator. I'm not sure if Mr. Terrafranco, if you followed up or if you were going to, or.
The bamboo that she
The
brought up.
bamboo, I forwarded the email from the resident, just to look into it and any recourse that we may or may not be able to do.
Right. Our DPW director, Mr. Walensky, is looking into the matter. So I will get back to you before you leave, if you give me a good contact, I will get back to you tomorrow.
By looking into it, what do you mean? Because I dealt with Sean Valensky
Well-
in the beginning.
Our office is also, we received a copy and we are also working on it as well. We understand we understand the issue and we're seeing if there's a solution that can be made.
Okay. So I'm waiting to hear from you. I'm waiting to hear from him.
So you're going to hear from the business administrator.
I think I sent it to like everybody, so let them collaborate and someone will get back to you with what their resolution is. Again, I told you I would
Yeah.
send it to everyone and.
And you did. I saw you
Yep,
forward.
and we'll see what their conclusion is legally.
Yeah. I mean, and there's photos and everything else that was in there because obviously this was like it was there, then it got cut down from the back and that's not even all of them, I'm sure, to be honest. I tried to find as much as I could. There was a lot, even between me and Mr. Wall, that I can't find. So this was a long time coming. Okay, so I'm going to hear back from you.
Yes.
What's the turnaround timeframe?
Well, I'm going to wait for Mr. McGuckin's office to get back to us on jurisdictionally responsibility, and then we're going to follow up with the DPW director as well.
So then this week. Okay, great. All right. So this week I'll hear from somebody.
Someone.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for coming again.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sandra Wombachano, as a resident of Jackson. I'm going to be handing in right now the tort claim for $364 million to
I'm sorry, Attorney Murdock.
So you just hand it to the clerk and she will.
Well, then you got to come in during business
Gotta
hours,
come-
ma'am. There's a process for that.
Madam Clerk, if you don't mind just holding on to it for her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sandra Wombachano, as we strive for a place to ride, the citizen-led auditor. We didn't launch this initiative out of malice. We did it out of necessity. For months, our volunteer team of researchers, accountants, and everyday citizens dug into raw financial data of this municipality. What we uncovered has not a system of open competitive markets. Instead, we found a highly coordinated institutional game of financial choreography, a bid rigging gambit on absolute steroids. The public records paint a devastatingly clear picture. We tracked a textbook 8 ways checkmate designed to drain our public tax dollars while keeping the council completely in the dark. We found clear evidence of bid suppression, where prime contractors suddenly vanished from major projects. We uncovered blatant complementary bidding, where secondary firms submitted intentionally bloated, flawed bids just to make a pre-selected winner look like a bargain. By the way, I come from Hudson County, so Operation Bid Rig was part of my life. So this is on steroids, guys. Just letting you know, a little background. Behind the scenes, we mapped the hidden networks of modern equivalents of Morgans, Kuhns, Bernsteins of advisory world. We watched the geographic regions were neatly carved up to avoid genuine competition, and we flagged massive communication spikes right before auction deadlines. Most damning of all, our audit tracked the back-end subcontracting loops, where losing bidders were quietly taken care of with lucrative consulting contracts paid for by our residents. To the council members who were unaware, the smokescreen of complex algorithmic data and dizzy legal jargon ends tonight. The data packet we are handing over to you and to the public, it will be in the morning then, young lady, clerk, strips away the illusion. This is no longer a matter of administrative oversight or budgeting errors. This is horizontal marketing allocation scheme that has systematically overcharged this community. We are not here to ask for a committee review. We are here to hand the forensic roadmap. We expect this council to immediately freeze these contested contracts, launch an independent federal antitrust investigation, and protect the public trust. The chessboard has been flipped. The data is public, and the checkmate belongs to the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council?
Raymond Trema Jr. I'm on the zoning board, fire commissioner. I'm here as just a regular person tonight. Well, I'll put my commissioner on first. Thank you for acknowledging the fire department. We were going to have a full board of fire commissioners here tonight to answer the questions, but due to circumstance out of everybody's control, but we will be here at the next meeting, ready to answer any questions. It's not that complicated. Unfortunately, shouldn't have taken almost 3 years to do, but we're making some headway with it.
Thank you for your help in that.
Someone always angry. Snow plowing. Yes, they did a good job in most places. My street, after I plowed 26 hours, I took the truck I was using and got stuck on my street trying to fix it. But like Ms. Palmieri said, we can't have such a big contractor. You need a smaller contractor. Like I told you, I work for a Jackson company that goes to Lakewood because they're not allowed to bid here. But the point is, they give us air tags. So they know what we're doing, they know who screwed up, and they know how to check it. So if you want any information with that, we can give you plenty of insight. Personal pet peeve, why do my firefighters have to shovel fire hydrants when we have to pay the MUA? Just food for thought, because that's wrong. Data centers. Do you know how much water they take for a small one per day?
You want to answer for me? I don't know.
Take a guess.
I'm scared to answer. I'm gonna get undershooting.
Go for it. Come on.
I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna talk very slowly. I don't.
1 million gallons
A day?
a day for a small one. Just so everybody's aware, that's how bad the situation is. That's why they're in certain areas for that reason. They need excessive amount of water. They need an excessive amount of power. So yes, we do have to hear them when they come out. But just to be aware, they are a bigger issue. Also, could also cause radio interference depending on certain situations. So that's just food for thought, because no one has mentioned that part of it yet. I mentioned it to somebody today and they gave me that information. And you think about it, Lacey Township uses 6 million gallons a day. So between that and the power, we already know that surrounding towns need water and they're trying to tap into our infrastructure. So that would be an impossible issue. So it's not biased, it's not being mean. And you know, we have all these warehouses. Are they gonna try to stick one in a warehouse, or we just have to be aware? So just as public knowledge, I just wanted the board to know that. We have some big projects with some big warehouses. So again, it can be a big issue. The other thing is, last time I was here, I complained about how people come and address the board, they're under oath, and they're not quite honest. Just so happens, the next day after I was here, DCA sent my fire official, Scott Roush, a nice letter because he had 6 pre-building meetings, 6 sets of plans. When he said his final, a certain person who comes, I'm not going to mention names, had already updated the plans for a 7th time. And he had no idea. So he looked like a fool at first because they're like, well, what are you giving us? This is wrong. But it wasn't wrong. It just wasn't what was accurate. So what I'm saying is there are cracks and voids in your system. That's why I spoke last meeting, that need to be closed up. We're putting certain things ahead. We're trusting sworn officials to do their job, and they're not. That's not their fault, because they've always gotten away with it, and there's no way to really know this unless we delve in like we do with you guys and find this information out. So just again, for public information, you know, we have to be more diligent in the information that's being brought to the boards. So I'll keep on bringing it.
That's your job on the zoning board.
Okay, don't get mad at me when I call you up screaming.
I've never gotten mad at you yet. I just fight back.
I got you, baby.
Oh, 2 days ago, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Mr. Sullivan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Sullivan, 31 Kathy Court here in Jackson. I just would like to thank the mayor and the council president and the rest of the council for your vote to reappoint the rent leveling board here in Jackson. Edward Jakowski, Diane DeCapua, Will Boyce, my brother Frank Sullivan, Deborah Wankel, and Joanne Walker have all served this town with distinction. And of course, you reappointed me, which I thank you very much. And I want to thank you all for your leadership that you have shown towards manufactured housing and apartment complexes and the needs of rent leveling here in Jackson. There is a different subject I'd like to bring up, though, if that's all right with Council President.
Whatever's on your brain.
I'd like to ask Councilman Pollack, do you know who the account Residents Against the Pile of Lies are, or who they are, or who's behind it?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, to let you know, some of the things they've done, they've said some very anti-Semitic things. They have personally attacked me for my disability, for my weight, for my looks. They have accused me of being a homosexual, which I think is totally disgusting to even decide. You can decide whose somebody's sexual orientation is. And I wonder if you denounce what the Residents Against the Pile of Lies has been doing.
Well, in my opening comments, I actually said I disagree with what they're doing. I think it takes away from the actual issues in town. And I think it's a distraction. I think it's silly. I do denounce anything that's negative. I shouldn't be attacked for anything, honestly, unless it's your actions.
Yeah. Well, none of it has been about actions. It seems to be about my looks. So, but I thank you for denouncing that because it needs to be denounced. Because the fact is, they support your campaign. They post very positively about you, about your running mates, and then they attack everybody else who volunteers or who's elected in this town, and they do it in a very nasty, negative way. Then their commenters make anti-Semitic comments and other nasty comments. And I hate to tell you, Mr. Pollack, you are the company you keep. If you lay down with dogs with fleas, you're going to get up with flea bites. And I think you need to take a more proactive stance against what has been happening on Facebook. It's disgusting. It's immoral.
and they're doing it under your name.
Did you speak up last election when they did those things to me?
I didn't
Were you
come
concerned with
forward-
it?
I didn't come forward the last election because
Okay.
I wasn't attacked in the last election.
I'm just wondering.
I'm
Like,
not running for office, Mr. Pollak.
I understand. But, you know, if you listen to my opening comments, once again, I said I do not agree with what's going on. I do not agree with this political climate that has been created by these people in this town. They created this. I have nothing to do with this. I denounce all of this. I think it's all disgusting. And actually, this ridiculous, disgusting government and the political climate they created helped get me elected. And I don't continue this. I speak to people's faces. I speak to people's faces. I don't play these games, and I never have. You see me up here every single time. I don't do this stuff.
Mr. Pollak, it's very great to say that and have your cheering squad here for you every time. But the point is, I'm talking about this issue. On Facebook right now, there are groups who support your campaign, who actively work to get you elected and reelected, who are disgusting and are attacking people because of their religion, their disability, their sexual orientation, and their looks. And if you can't focus on that and try to deflect on your last campaign because people came after you, you ran for office, Mr. Pollak, I didn't. Thank
Sir.
you very much.
Thank you.
I repeated myself multiple times. You didn't listen to my opening comment. And random people on the internet, I don't speak for. I speak for myself every single time I'm up here. And if you have a problem, I think you have my number. You can call me. That's totally fine. I give my number to just about everybody. And I give out my personal number. People got beef, they speak to me. People got a problem, speak to me. I speak to everybody up here. I don't like these people up here, most of them. But I speak to them. And if there's a problem, I'll call them on the phone. I'll say it right here. I'm not going to deal with these garbage attacks. Keep trying it. I'm going to represent the people of this town. This is a joke and this is nonsense. Trying to tie nonsense Facebook comments to me. Pages that I don't know who the hell they are. I don't know, and I don't care. I care about the town and the issues. This is all a distraction, and it will not distract me from doing my job.
Ma'am?
Kim Kaminsky, 47 Mason Drive, Jackson, New Jersey. First, thank you for this. I'm wondering when we are going to get a podium here. Feels a little Ozish, Dorothy coming up here in front of all of you. I was an educator for over 25 years, and I was in guidance as school counselor for over 20 years. So I'm a bit of an expert with social media. And what we're seeing tonight, I am totally unprepared to speak tonight, but I just can't let go what I saw happen here tonight. And anyone who's a parent here knows that their children are they're torturing each other with social media. It has changed the landscape of everything, of our social lives. What we're seeing with adults coming up here tonight, reporting, I understand that gentleman that came up here before, totally understand how he feels about things like that. It's inexcusable to speak that way. And yes, I see that on there as well. But I've seen that been pointed at other people as well, not just a certain group. And I've seen people from the Orthodox community have also said things that were totally inexcusable. People become keyboard warriors once they're on that computer. It's terrible what happens with that. But I don't think what happened tonight, and again, I can't emphasize enough what that gentleman said, what he reported reading, that I can't even imagine what that was like for him. It has to be horrible, and it's inexcusable. And if anyone here supports that, I agree with what he said. Shame on you for that. But I think there was misguided anger, misplaced anger here tonight with that. This gentleman here and this gentleman here, the only thing that I've seen with Elliot is that if somebody says something, he's willing to meet with them. He wants to talk with them and meet with them. And that's the way things happen. He was a victim of this stuff. I hate to use the victim word, but that was part of the campaign. And as far as things not happening yet with this particular group over here. It's early. The campaign really hasn't started yet. So buckle up, because, but I think people need to not pay attention to what's going on social media. If you don't like it, don't go on it. And by no means should anyone support any of the anti-Semitism or any kind of hate talk that goes on there. But I just could not let that go tonight. And that's it.
Thank you. Deb Jones, Jackson. I'm kind of going to reiterate what she said, and I think it's awful, some of the things that go on Facebook. But again, it's been going on for a long time. We watched the person being paid rip people apart with a lot of false information, but once it's out there, and you can't unhear something. People being anti-Semitic, it's not okay. It's never okay. And unfortunately, the things that are going on in the town, whether it's on this council, whether it's on the planning board, the zoning board, it's only adding fuel to the fire. And a lot of the comments that are being posted, they're usually by people who are anonymous in some way or made up names in another way. And not for nothing, but none of us know who that is. That could be people right from within their own organization. We don't know. We've watched Facebook be called a word that saying it's not true. And now all of a sudden it's a campaign strategy. I mean, when are we going to put Facebook aside and worry about what's really going on in the town? Stop fighting it out on Facebook. It's kind of sad that we've now had people come up asking one of the council people to denounce what's going on when he's not even the person doing it. So I don't know. I didn't hear anyone that was sitting on this board. I didn't hear one person denounce Shore Network News or anything else that went out about it. That's sad. It's the same thing. And you can't say it's okay when the ball's in your court, but when the balls are flying at you, it's not okay. You can't expect one person to do something that none of you did. It's time we start looking in the mirror and stop trying to blame everyone else.
Deb, I'm going to actually disagree with you for a minute here. It's not the same. They paid them with tax money to attack me. These are people I don't even know online. And this is a disgusting political stunt.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make the point that the same tactic was being used, and we never said a word.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Seeing no one come forward, I motion to close public forum.
Second. You already spoke once. You can come after. We'll be around. Yeah.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Any
Could I-
opposed?
Could I have a motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Have a great night. Thank you.